Heyo, how's it going? Spirit fingers, everybody. How is the day treating you? I've had a pretty laid back day. It was super hot here yesterday, like 93. What is that? 40 Celsius or something like that. And which is weird because it's been 35 at night and maybe 45 or 50 in the day all through the winter and most of spring. And now we get this really hot weather, hot enough that it shocked some of my sticklebacks. Two of them were floating in the pond this morning, and I can't attribute it to anything other than the fact that, it was 93 degrees, even in the shade. Obviously, that's pretty hot for a little bucket. So how's everybody doing? We feeling good? We doing good? We being good? Jimmy P, hello, welcome. Mel Wall, welcome. Michelle, hello. Who else do we have in here? We've got Fish Room Fever. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you, man. We've got Bambi also. Hello, Bambi. Emma the Sea Witch. Another Michelle. Hello. Spelled totally differently. Michelle, like the seashell. Wonderful. 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 Wondershell. Linda Worth. Hello. David. Hello. Hello. Droogs. We got an Alex follower. Well, one of the Alexes. Cara. Hello. Welcome to you as well. Your oldest has been away in the Army for a while and brought his wife and baby to town for a visit. Right on. Well, I hope you have some good quality time. Jeff, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you as always. And good to see you saying hello to everybody. I love it that everybody says hello to one another. And y'all seem to know each other to some degree, obviously, at least. We've got Sky Dancer. We got Bill Meyer. Who else do we have in here already? Bright and early and bushy-tailed. Because most of my Sketty Nona, what's going on? Most of my, my hardcore guys. Rye Guy Outdoors. Haven't forgot about you. Austin Llewellyn 3G. Gardaki's Playground. What's going on? It's been a bit of a ride for me with the Yeti. Here first, some Ireland pride there. The Yeti with some Yeti pride. And Scott, what's going on? You're gonna catch a live stream for once? Right on. Thanks for doing so. And Mick, we got Mick here too. Right on. Glad you could join us from across the pond. Big Whiskers, also love that name. Very fitting and apt name. Yes, the teeth, I agree. The teeth are too white. These are temps though. They're over the 10 individual posts right now, and I'm not supposed to chew on them anything hard at all. Like, I'm supposed to be on protein shakes for 4 weeks, which is basically about to be over. And then I could have mashed potatoes and little soft stuff like baby food. And then I can have really small cut up stuff. Basically anything that is not putting pressure on the teeth more than your finger could until the bone grafts properly. Cody V, what's up? Ahoy, hoy. Ahoy, hoy. That is what Thomas Edison wanted everybody to say. That's how he wanted everyone to say hello on the phone with his invention. But what I was going to say, too, is if I get tired, guys, if you see me going, just getting zoned out, please just tell me, Alex, you're done. I would really appreciate that. Because I timed this live stream, and I might be moving when this live stream is because of it, but I time it where I've taken all my anti-inflammatory meds, and I've taken the anti-seizure meds, and right now, there's no antibiotics. Well, that wasn't as showy as I wanted it to be. But without getting into it, and I say no to the mind-altering meds for the most part, unless I'm like in real pain or having a procedure done or something, like in clinic. And those are all, prednisone, methotrexate. I don't know. They crash me into a wall at the end of the day. And it happens so fast that I don't even realize it. And I keep trying to push through it sometimes. But in any case, I just wanted to let you guys know, what's going on in my brain. And I just don't like missing these live streams because I missed enough of them when I was down in Florida and stuff. But I'm feeling really good mentally, in good spirits. Feel like I'm getting things checked off the list with my health and everything. So, you know, yeah. You've got some mashed potatoes. By the way, if you haven't checked out Fishroom Fever and his channel, you should probably do so because he's a swell guy, a well-informed guy. Him and Chattanooga Ed, the two of them are always up to some sort of antics. Sometimes Sean of Peck Tech is involved in some way, or they're in the car together. But it's good to see you here. Yeah, you said you've got mashed potatoes too, but they are covered in nematodes. Yeah, the micro worms. I'm to the point now where I might actually consider eating them anyways. I mean, luckily they didn't take my sweet, sweet nectar of the gods, Dr. Pepper or cherry Dr. Pepper. But yeah. Sketty says it's really hard to get that sleep seizure thing under control and function again. I don't know if I'll ever be able to drive again. Yeah, that has been, it's been hard. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, it's been real hard. But, I come here to rejoice and to talk about fish and to see how y'all are doing and to get to hang out with my friends. And so I know I give you guys little updates, and I'm not trying to say woe is me. I am so fortunate and so happy about my life. But I just want you to know what's going on so nothing takes you by surprise if it's like, oh, not able to make it today, or oh, Alex is zoning off, whatever. So yeah, Shady Grady, what's going on? Saw you last time. It's good to see you again. And Fish Fam Link, what's going on? Fishfam.link, by the way, guys, it has a schedule of pretty much all the major and a lot of the I don't want to say that they're non-major because there's lots of great channels that just don't have a ton of subscribers. But I mean, most of the channels over 500 subscribers and stuff that are in the loose affiliation of the Fish family are at your fingertips when you go to fishfam.link. And fishfam.link has like the times that we stream in general. Things are a little subject to switching around and all that, but for the most part, it's pretty good. And it tells you when someone's live if your alerts aren't always the best and stuff. Plus it says where events are going on and all sorts of other stuff. So pretty cool link. Thank you, Muppet. I appreciate it. And hello. But yeah, the link's right there if you need it, if you want it. And it's a cool tool. Nano aquarium guy, what's up? Lumpy dog, what's going on? Ashley Johnson, have I tried cream soda Dr. Pepper? Yes, I have a 12-pack right outside in the heat, just warming up for the effervescent joy of it, right? Yeah, I've got, I like the cherry, I like the cream soda. I don't like the strawberry and cream or whatever it is. Don't like that. Sneak peek, Amazon Research Center, Dr. Anthony. Whoa, when I drummed, it focused on the vibration of it there. Yeah, if you guys don't know, this is the last plug I'm giving, the last free plug. You lampreys. And Zoltan, hello. Sean, hello. Oh, the chemical tattoos, real quick. One is serotonin, and the other is dopamine, and it's just the chemical representation of it. Which, by the way, I have shingles on my arm right here, which is no fun. Here, I'll give you a gross up close. Here's your warning: don't look if you don't like up close stuff. But it's like a weird. If you haven't seen shingles before, it comes out on a single nerve. It's not showing very well, but it comes out on a single nerve, and it turns into these like little blisters, and then the blisters all break, and it's not pleasant. And I'll usually end up with it on my face or on my back because of my autoimmune, because of my lupus. It ends up coming out multiple places, whereas most people get it once and they're like, oh, it's the most painful thing ever, I never want to deal with that again. Good thing I don't have to. But for me, it's like, oh, flaring up here, oh, flaring up there, and it feels literally like for the first 2 days, it feels literally, it's the nerve endings have come up to the surface of your skin where they meet it, and the virus, which is related to chickenpox, comes all the way up the nerve ending and just tells your body to put inflammation into it, and it erupts. So the actual nerve cells get swollen and big until they burst at the surface. It's real gnarly. What should you talk about on my stream or on your stream tomorrow night? 2 guests cancel on you, Mr. Anthony Mazerall. Well, you can have me on the stream. I'm always available. Trust me, I'm a Dr. Pepper. I have a question for you, Doctor. Before I give you the shout out, which obviously, you guys, I've done episodes on the Amazon Research Center. Yes, at 10 a.m. I'm up at like 4 a.m. every morning. But the Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fish, check them out. Really cool organization. Down in Peru, every year they do a giveaway for a trip, and Dr. Anthony, he has really, really good content on his channel. He gets actual experts. That's why I probably won't be on his channel. You will email me the link. The exact quote from Dr. Anthony. I will email me the link. Not me. He will email himself the link, meaning you can't come on. Probably smart. But I had a question for Dr. Anthony because I came up with a surprise solution to a problem that I've had. Experts. Whoa. Yeah. People, like that have spent their whole life studying just Corydoras. Dr. Anthony loves Corydoras. And, he is on a mission to make sure that everybody says it correctly, which is Corydora, no S. And no, but really, he has people on that are, giant Corydora, giant Pleco, environmental DNA, eDNA people, people who are working on, their grad program or their grad degree on something, and maybe it's about treating a certain illness in the hobby or whatnot. But he subscribes to the same philosophy that I do, and I hope most of you do, which is that there's not any good one perfect way to keep fish. There's no like this is the right way, all the other ways are wrong or inferior. There's lots of right ways, there's a few wrong ways, but it's about what you want to make out of the hobby. Now, what I want to know about, Doc, please tell me while I have your attention, sir. So I came up on my trip, which I will show you guys pictures in just a moment of a bunch of the fish. I found about 50 species of fish in Florida this last trip while I was getting my my implants and for my teeth done. I was told that I needed to quarantine and stay away from people because they didn't want me to get any of the respiratory stuff going around and be coughing with 10 steel posts, or actually they're titanium and zircon and something else. I don't remember what all's in them. There's two weird trace minerals and another metal in the post, but they're mostly titanium. And so they need the bone to graft to it, and they're literal screws, just like you would see in a hardware store. And then everything else, all this veneer is on top of it. And right now it's an acrylic veneer that's just 3D printed from this high-tech 3D immersion printer that comes out of the water. It looks really cool. Or out of the it's a sublimation printer, so it goes from like liquid to solid, like in a little tenth of a millimeter at a time. It's like some sci-fi stuff. And then he's going to be working on actually molding and then sculpting and sanding and doing all that, making actual ceramic work. Yeah, Dr. Anthony, of the 50 fish I caught in Florida, 49 are invasive. No, I think this trip actually there were far less invasives. I think it's because the water is so low right now down there. They're kind of having a drought, and a lot of times when that happens, the toughest critter in the pond is kind of the one that is going to be most abundant because it eats the other ones, and or it's hard to find the ones that don't do well in dried up, very shallow ponds. A lot of times they'll be in the mud and the silt, like buried deep, or they'll be way out in the lake where it stays nice and wet all year round. That kind of thing. Yeah. But the idea I came up with is when I was out in Florida, Central Florida, the Ocala Wilderness, I had this idea that I wanted to bring a little container. I thought I had one around here still. It's clear to take photos in, yeah. And I had an ice chest because I've been sleeping in the car because I wanted to basically not have to drive 2 hours back to where all my friends were staying in Spring Hill, where Grant lives and where my best friend Greg lives and all that. So I took off with a few blankets and a hiking pack and, water and a cooler and a car adapter, and slept in the car up on the side of the highway, so I didn't have to pay for the parks fees and stuff. And then each day I'd go into the Ocala Wilderness or the Crystal River or wherever I was, Silver Spring. But one day I had a bunch of really, really black water where I was fishing. And I was catching all sorts of stuff with the net out of it because there were lily pads, and underneath the lily pads, they can't see you, so they don't run. So if you take the dip net and go boom and just slam it down and pull it to shore quickly, you can catch quite a lot of fish. And some of them are like big fish if you got a good enough net, because they just, as long as you're quiet and your shadow, you keep it off of the lily pads and stuff. As long as you're conscious about what you're doing, you can catch some nice stuff. And I was catching stuff, but the problem was all of the larger size stuff, I'd get it, I'd put it into a tank of water, and it would be really like mucky water. And I tried to take a picture and my camera wouldn't focus, and that was annoying. So then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to bring some water of my own that's neutral. And I didn't want to bring distilled water. I was worried that could mess with their slime coat or their osmosis, because the water down there is really, really hard a lot of times. And I didn't want to throw it too crazy out of bounds from what they're used to. But in any case, so I have this cooler with 2 packs of ice in it. And I used some of that water out of the spigot in the back of the cooler, tilted the cooler, and put some water in the thing. And I was like, man, that's probably too cold to use. So I then took some lake water and put it in water bottles. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll let this just settle down. And so I just kind of watched fish for a half hour, let the water get down to around 55 or 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I took it out of the bottles. I poured it off the top, and most of the silt had gone to the bottom. At the time, my thought was, I just want to settle it down. And for some reason, I thought, well, maybe the cooler will speed that up because the water won't be convecting as much. And that probably doesn't matter. That temperature probably doesn't matter. But my real question was, so I had a Lee's scoop container and an Aquarium Co-op scoop container and another bucket and all these other things. And I had water, though, that the water at this park was 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Very hot, shallow, 6 inches of water, alligators all around, snakes, turtles, but it was sand and then black water. And so it was really warm along the edges of this big old lake. And this was just north of Inverness and just south of the Ocala Wilderness on Updoka Lake chain. And the water I put in there was from the lake, so it had the right pH and everything. But it was nice and clear because it was cold. But it was so cold that it shocked the fish. And to my surprise, when I put the fish in there out of the net, it shocked it, and the fish immediately floated up upside down or sideways, and it was breathing just slowly, like, and instead of like a real fast breathing like they do when you catch them sometimes. And so I was like, well, cold water is pretty oxygenated. Maybe they're doing okay. But the thing that happened was their color stayed incredible. It was like I froze them in time from as quick as I could get them out of the net and into the water. It would just stun them. And so I was able to get some photos that I've never been able to take down there before to show off just how cool these fish look. And I'm going to show them to you in a minute. But I really thought that was a cool method because every single fish that I did it to, and I did it to 7 or 8 species this morning, it was just kind of a happy accident that I ended up thinking about doing it or ended up doing it. And, as long as the water it's not like I was putting it in ice water. I was putting it in like 60-degree water probably most of the time. I think I put, the first one was probably about 50 degrees, but it warms up so fast when it's 93 degrees outside and humid. But in any case, the container got good shots. Sometimes I kind of had to use my finger or a stick and like poke the fish right side up, like push it against the wall of the container so I could hold it up into the sun and get a good shot of it with the reflection off the scales and stuff. But every fish other than one Florida flagfish, the rest of the trip survived, did fine, swam off, and I waited for them in the shallows. I took them, and in one case, that flagfish, I pulled him backwards over and over to get oxygen and stuff back into his gills, and it shocked him too much. He died. But that shock, for some reason, like preserved the color. Like they weren't able to give their normal stress response. So I was just curious, if that was a known technique or thing, or if it's just too dangerous and it kills fish too easily. Because if they were truly tropical fish, like the species I was doing it to were mostly like bluegills and, bluefin killies and stuff that down there, I mean, it frosts in that part of Florida, northern Florida and central Florida. It still frosts 1 or 2 days a year usually, if not sometimes more. And so those fish, they don't like that water temperature, but they do survive it here and there, especially if they can burrow down in the mud or whatever. So I figured 60 while sudden was like probably, a stretch that if they were in 75 to 85 degree water that maybe they could handle. But yeah, I was kind of curious if that method, if anybody else did it, or if no, that's a stupid idea because you'd kill. I mean, in Peru, maybe you just kill all the fish because they're not used to that. But maybe you could put them in a 70-degree container. I don't know. Worth a thought, or maybe not. I don't know. If it's something that's known about, worth maybe checking out. Otherwise, maybe not. Guys, another thing I wanted to do is I got a letter from somebody that I really was moved by. And I was informed that they liked when I sing. So I don't really care what all y'all think. And I'm gonna say hello to Devon, Devon, Devon. Say hello to Devon, Devon, Devon. You know, that Soundgarden song don't really have a lot of word. Or Temple of the Dog. Sorry, guys. If I have any grunge aficionados, I'm going to get yelled at for that one. But hello, Devin, and I hope, yeah, just like Chris, just nailed that. But hello, Devin. Hope you're doing well, buddy. The other thing that I was going to, what was I going to let you guys? Oh, the aquascaping contest. So it's going to happen. I promise. This year's been a little busy. I had 10 holes put in my freaking head and flew all over the place. And I don't know. Things are just, you know. So, I haven't decided 100% though what the theme is going to be. I'm actually leaning towards Iwagumi because that has nothing to do with money, costing you money. It just has to do with going back and watching some videos on it and or articles and learning about the basics of the aesthetic of Iwagumi, which is the Japanese rock bonsai, and I mean it comes into play with things like pottery and all sorts of other things as well. But I was just thinking that, you know, you could do it in a tiny little tank that's really inexpensive with just some shrimp or just some plants even. You could do it in a tank with fish. But as always this year, we definitely want to do a sustainable tank. So this isn't about taking a picture of a tank and having it look like a magazine from ADA or Amazonas, you know, like the pro aquascapers. This is about your average fish keeper trying to put together something that's aesthetically pleasing, but also that has all the needs of whatever fish you have in mind. Now, the other thing I had other than Iwagumi in mind was actually doing a 2-level tank. And that is to say an aquascape that has a under gravel filter chamber or a cave. And maybe, you know, maybe you get some cheap blind cave tetras and put those below. Maybe it's you have a land level and a water level, like a riparium or a crab tank, or a mangrove or a mud skipper. So I was also thinking about the idea of having 2 levels, whatever that means. So a level above water, a chamber underwater, and another one underwater, but exposed to the light and the air. So yeah, that's one that's rattling around my mind too, but I don't want to make it too hard for people. So if you guys have an opinion, let me know, comment here or later, come back and comment so others can argue with you, you know, whatever. Yeah, 2 levels sounds really fun to me too, but it is kind of complicated. And I want this to be something that most people can participate in if they want. I want it to be a kind of thing where you can set up a tank that's like a 5-gallon. You can be a part of our aquascape contest, and for $100 or something, you could participate if you really want to. And this year the gifts will be better than $100 or whatever. Last year, I mean, we had a total of like $500 worth of stuff we gave the winner, and then another 250 to the second place. Then we had 3 other prizes we gave out other than that were like signed books, first editions and stuff. So we will get that's what I'm finishing up right now is securing the prizes so that I can advertise what this year's first place winner will get, kind of thing. Hey Corey, what's going on? Silver Creek, always good to see you, my brother. Also, someone else came in here and I missed it. I mean, Coro, obviously, I saw you. Oh, Jay, what's going on, Jay? How are you? How are you? And Loretta Jackson. I've been wanting to try multiple levels. Yeah, I want everybody to be in this hobby on multiple levels. LRB, Alex, and Fatherfish need to live stream together. You know, I would totally be fine with that. I've live streamed with both of them now quite a few times. I've been on Fatherfish's stream probably, I don't know, 50 times back when he was starting out and he was doing it every single day. And I just would wander on and, you know, say, hey, basically, and chat about things. But Father Fish, I love a lot of what he talks about, what he does. But sometimes he's a little too poke the bear for my taste. I like to poke a bear, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it's a little too doomsday-y, melodramatic. You know, the world's coming to an end, good versus evil stuff for my taste, and he knows that I feel that way. But he was, you know, brought up in a family of, you know, preachers and stuff. He was a priest, a priest or a minister. I shouldn't say what, I don't remember the name of the denomination he was in, but I believe it was you know, pretty fire and brimstone-y and down in the South and everything, in Tennessee and Kentucky, I believe is where he was back in the 50s and 60s, and then he's kind of switched to like being pro civil rights and all this stuff, and then he got really pro Trump, and I'm not the biggest okay, I hate Trump, I'll just say that. I think he's a terrible person. Sorry if I'm alienating any of you, but I think, I mean, I think most politicians that we have to choose from are terrible people. I don't like Biden at all either, but I don't want to bring that into the hobby as much as he wants to. So I'll end it there. Oh, Father Fish's Club stiffed you for your speaking fee. That's no good, Dr. Mazeral. That's when you say, God damn it, I have a PhD. What do you think I paid 8 million grand for this thing? Yeah, Southern Baptist might be what it was, Silver Creek. But anyways, I guess I just have a distaste for anybody who has a lot of power. Yeah, but let's keep it about fish, right? Unless they're doing things that are for good. If they use their power to pick on anybody lower than them, that's when it starts to grind my gears. Like when politicians or billionaires or world leaders. Yes, you did prod the bear. You cattle prodded me as a bear. No, Cody, I agree. Politics is never for the people. All right, guys. So let's take a look at some freaking fish, right? Are you not entertained? Is that not why you are here? All right, let's do this. Some velvet morning when I'm straight, you're gonna open up your gate and let me tell you about Phaedra and how she made it in, and how she gave me life. Some velvet morning when I'm straight. All right, guys. Thoughts about stopping cyanobacteria in your aquarium hood? Yeah, Dean. If you have, you'll get Joey over here, Salient. Oh, bring him over. I'm not gonna make fun of anybody's appearance or anything like that, but the fact that he's several times been like, "Oh, next time I see you, I'm gonna beat you up." I'm like, you realize I'm 250 pounds and 6 feet tall, right? Like, just saying. Um, okay, I think I just said I'm fat, is what I just said. Dean says, "Could I trouble you for your thoughts on stopping cyanobacteria in my aquarium hood?" Yes. Hydrogen peroxide in a spray bottle, 3%, just pure hydrogen peroxide. Just spray that baby. That'll get rid of it if it's on the surface, you just don't like it. Now, if you have it somewhere else, like it's growing in sheets or goo all over your aquarium, just get 1 packet of erythromycin, and for every 40 gallons of water, you use a packet. So if you have a 20-gallon tank, you can use half a packet is all of any gram-positive antibiotic. But if you have a erythromycin little API packet, half of that in a 20 long or a 20 tall, 20 breeder, whatever you want to call it. Just put it into a cup of water, mix it around, pour it in. That will dissolve your cyanobacteria within 24 to 48 hours, guaranteed. It's very, very, very effective. Now, it does hurt your good filtration a little bit, but not to the point. All right, let's see here. Yes, I want to hear a bad joke. I mean, don't offend. Well, you can't really offend me, but don't offend the others here. But well, I don't know about that. I don't know how to say it. But oh, you can set up a ring for me now, can you? Wow, Luke, I have not been in a fight in a long time, and I think I want to leave it that way. I am a man of peace. All right, back to the fish. But I do want to be there. But I'm just saying, I know I got like Kenny and me and several other people got me if I need it. Okay, so this is the beautiful sunfish bluegill body frame that you're used to seeing. Down in Florida, they were making their nests. And here you can actually see, can you guys see my cursor, by the way? Oh, Erie first. That's fine. That was totally, that joke was fine. I don't think you offended anybody. Thank you, though. Made me smile. This is Danny. I'm here for you too. Danny, what's going on? Danny, by the way, this year we need a female judge to help with our aquascape contest. Are you busy? I'll be calling you. And Luke is also going to be. Luke, Alan, we usually have 3 or 4 people, but this year I really want a female on the panel. But if you want to be in the contest, then I understand and no pressure. But if you want to help judge in 3 months from now, probably about 3.5 months from now, then you are, I'm formally putting it in the air right now, and I'll give you a call. Okay. All right. So back to the fish. So these fish are awesome in that they make the little sandy area and they clear out the cyanobacteria and all the algae and sticks. And then they have a layer of shells. And this little guy was making a pile of all the shells because there's so many shells in the Florida substrate. And then he was making a ring around the sand. And the sand is like also very white. But it was very interesting to see him doing that. I was puzzled and I just sat and I watched him for probably 2 hours. And so I've got all these pictures. Don't worry, I'm not going to trouble you guys with the series of pictures, but I might have one of his little ring when it was complete. But I just thought that was super cool. Okay, so here we have a largemouth bass. And how can you tell it's a largemouth bass, baby little largemouth bass? Well, his jaw goes past where his eye starts. And you can see his jowls and his gill operculum go right to his eye and they meet his jaw. So it's going to be a baby largemouth bass. Now they look very different in Florida than they do up here. If you see the largemouth bass from Washington, they're very streamlined without this top modeling. They just have a line that's a zigzaggy kind of line down the body, and then they have like really bright orange tails and fins, almost like a perch, you'd think. But these ones down here, some of them are kind of related to the Swanee and the Choctaw bass, like these different substrains that have kind of started to look a little different. But they're pretty cute looking when they're little because they're so freaking grumpy looking. I just think that their little grumpy face is kind of adorable, honestly. But ta-da, bass. All right, boom. This is one of the ones that was in the frozen water. Not frozen, the cool water. But here you've got a little rock bass. Or possibly a rock bass, bluegill hybrid. It does look like it has an ear, kind of, the little red ear, which would indicate sunfish. Yeah, sorry guys, if I missed a question, it's a lot of times because StreamYard doesn't send it through if you're not either one, a member of the channel, which is $1.99. I'm sorry, I know that's not fair. It's just the way YouTube works, is it prioritizes stuff. Or if you use at The Secret History Living in Your Aquarium or at Fishery. Now you can use at Fishery and then I will see it. But yeah, thank you, Coro. And sorry if I missed something, Spencer, but just ask the question again with at Fishery and it should show up, because right now I'm not even seeing your question. But yeah, these guys were absolutely beautiful. They came from this really tannic water where I couldn't even see 3 or 4 inches in front of me in the water. And this guy was maybe 4 inches long. And so he had his adult color. And he had just this modeling that I thought was pretty nice, and yellow on the body, but he had iridescent purple, which is something I always see blue and green, hence bluegills. This guy had like a rose color or purple color, and you can kind of see it in the picture. It's not showing off the best, but I mean, I captured it as good as I think I could have gotten it on a photo. But kind of a cool look. Now, this is a golden top minnow. And this guy was actively doing his little mating dance, his little mating song and dance, and shimmying, and his tail was red, and his dorsal fin was red. Even his little pectoral fins were starting to have some rosy hue to them. And all these little red dots on his body, as well as the body being yellow. Well, when he flexes the other way, it's a blue and green, and you can kind of see it, but there's these weird like lightning bolt, white stripes that run through him too. And that one was about 4.5 or 5 inches long, like a very, very large one. It took up my whole Q-tip container. So I guess that would be a little, so the Q-tip container is 4 inches. So he's a little over that. And he was huge. And so I thought maybe he was going to be one of the barred varieties. But this was him. And his tail was kind of crooked because of the size he was. But I saw him swimming by and I just went for it. I just saw him and was like, what is that? Because it shimmered so bright, the green and the yellow, and then the red. The red was like crazy. Yeah, it's a top minnow is what it is. It's a golden top minnow. And it's really a killifish is what it is. It's kind of like a golden wonder killie, really. I mean, might as well be, but from America. So those are really beautiful and they're very common, but to find one that pretty was rare. All right, so what you're looking at here, this is about a 6 foot long, 5 or 6 foot long gator. And there are mullet, there are bluegill, there are Acara, there's a giant Pleco. I don't know if you guys can make it out, but there's a ginormous Pleco right up here. And hopefully I got it on film. I have so much film to go through from Florida. I started editing a video this morning and I literally threw my phone on the ground, like soft ground on a blanket, because I was editing it. And then I realized I said the same thing like 3 different places and I was trying to edit it out, but I wanted the photo or the footage from each time still all together, but I wanted to overdub the words, and it was just like, it's too much to deal with right now. So I was like, I'll deal with this later. And you guys didn't get the video that I was intending to come out this morning after working on it for a few hours. It's one of those things that like I really wish I had an editor, but my videos don't make enough money for an editor. So yeah, but I can give away all the money from them to the editor if somebody wants to give it a go. Okay, now here, this one was an unidentified, but probably a bass. But the water really warps the way they look. But what the point was it was making a nest. This is where the bluegills and the bass were starting to make their nests that day. And what they would do is they would go backwards and they would use their tail and they would swim in place using their pectoral fins one way and their other fins, their tail fin side to side. And it would clear out a space underneath it. And then they'd pivot with their pectoral fins and they'd clear out this round area like a bullseye. And then with their mouths, or with their tail, depending on what they were up to, then they'd finish sweeping it around in a circle again, which I just thought was really cool to watch. So this is how they would actually use their mouth to rip through all this like 1 or 2 feet of grass and algae and substrate or plant material and sticks and stuff. And then they would do the hover and pivot, kind of like doing burnouts or donuts to make a little nest. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh cool. You get Nancy B. You get to go to Inverness. Lucky. Yes, Dave. I am obsessed also with watching what people pull out of the water. It is crazy. So this one caused a lot of controversy. And I have 2 ichthyologists that are awaiting my samples. Well, hopefully they've got it by now, but I haven't heard from them. But I sent them a sample in not formaldehyde, but acetone. They wanted me to get acetone and put this fish in acetone. So I did. Now this is probably a Bayou Kylie is what we think, but some of the colors and some of the characteristics were just odd for where it was caught. It had this beautiful green under one angle of the light, and let's see if I've got it next to show. Yeah. And then metallic blue under another light. And that caudal fin could look totally just slightly smoky and translucent with a couple white spots on it. Or under the right light, you could get it to look, gosh dang it, you could get it to look completely black with the white dots on it. A very, very beautiful fish, but I think it's the Bayou Kylie. But some people thought it was the black banded Kylie, and they wanted to do a DNA test on it. So some guys in Florida, or not Florida, in Texas, at A&M are hoping to take some fin clippings, but I just sent them the whole fish. I was like, I don't know what to clip or how much you need, so I'm sending you a whole fish. I'm not gonna just cut its fins off and kill it. You guys get the whole thing, do something useful with it. But these were beautiful, and they were in water that the groundwater was penetrated by salt water that was soaking up through the groundwater. And these guys, their pupils dilate, and they've got orange eyes around it. And so their iris is orange, which is pretty breathtaking in person. But when they see you, their pupils dilate because they're like scared or whatever. But when they're just chill, their pupils are smaller, and you can see that they've got kind of these concentric circles around their eye, and then these little spots and the color differentials. They're really fun. Okay, so this is essentially a saltwater catfish. It's a cobia is what it's called. And this one was about 2 feet long, and I have a video that you guys will probably see shortly. But the video, the guy got it on a line, pulled it in. It was on 12-pound test. He tried to pull it up onto the pier, and it snapped because the fish was whipping back and forth, something fierce. Hold on, Dr. Anthony. I have to eat. Here, I'll show myself. I have to eat these super soft wafers. They're like communion wafers for church when I take my prednisone at 5 o'clock. Okay. Yep, 3G, you got it. Swamp darter. Now, this is not the best picture because it didn't show the nuances of. There's some orange and there's some lattice work on their fins that's really pretty. And there was a lot of condensation that day because it was like 94 degrees and humid. What's new? But the catch container was like 75 or 80 degrees. And just the difference between that did it. But I caught swamp darters, mottled Gulf darters, and then cypress darters were the ones I caught. Now, here comes another truly incredible catch. This is your natural wild Sailfin Molly, and this is not in any crazy ray of sunlight or anything. This is what they look like in the actual shade. They're this reflective. You see the silver reflecting? I think the next picture, there's a picture coming up soon, I think. Hold on, let me see if I can find where it went. There we go. There's a picture here where you can kind of see the iridescence, and you can see the very delicate designs up here in the actual dorsal fin, and then the the striping down in between the ribs of the fin and the mouth, how it's angled up. You can see it very clearly. The eye looks like a little donut. But then the tail fin has this beautiful iridescent blue, which also the entire body has. And these fish were so stunning watching them from above the water. We'll get to that, but they were just incredible. And I can see why they ended up in the hobby. I can see how somebody could think, I bet we could turn those, I bet we could breed these mollies into, you know, what you think of today with the orange body or the white body or black body. It's very obvious. Same with these. Now, this is just a Gambusia, but had beautiful melanism, and then it also had the gold and platinum and the other copper, as they call it, but it's more of a brass color mutation. So it was kind of a mix of things as far as what was going on. But these are very common when you see white and black, white and black. Not as common to see gold and greenish, that what they call copper. It looks like oxidized copper. And then the white and all that, all on the same fish. Very, very beautiful compared to the normal ones. This is just a little sheep's head minnow baby. They're nothing to write home about. They're everywhere in brackish water there. Another little Gambusia. This is a saltwater Gambusia. You can see the dots on it. You can see its mouth is angled up. These are the ones that are not the Holbrook eye. I don't think that they have another name. And we already saw a picture similar to this one. But what this is this is an Acara. This is not a bluegill as it appears. That's actually an eye spot, and there's an eye spot here, and I'll show you guys what they look like when you pull them out. These are jewel cichlids here, and I got these also, and I'll have a whole video about it, but these photos don't necessarily do them justice. The video does much better justice. Beautiful iridescence, but these are hemichromis or hemigramus species, I guess. And you can see the eye spot here. I mean, you can see the lace work and the fin shape on this male here, and the little jewels that they're called jewel cichlids for. But also just the red. It's because they have such a rich diet of anthocyanins and carotenoids or carotenoids that they're able to just eat that kind of stuff all day long. And these guys I found, can you find these in Florida, Melbourne area? Let me think. Let me look at where Melbourne is real quick. Okay. Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to find them there. They're not native, but at that latitude, they should be in the waters in the city there probably. They're all over Tampa. You go anywhere north of Tampa, and they pretty much don't survive. But everywhere Tampa and south, they were in almost every body of water in the city. Now, these are mullets, and they're in eelgrass. And this day, I was able to go out on a kayak and also a boat. I was able to go out on a party boat that took me out 6 miles and then dropped me off on a kayak because my back was hurting. And that way, I only had to kayak about 4 miles. I didn't have to do the whole 12 or whatever it would have been in total if I had done everything. And then they pick you up too, which is great. So I was able to bring my GoPro that you guys supported the channel and were able to get me. Here's a little baby bluegill, or rather a warmouth, most likely, with the red eyes. But just the colors, the purple, the blue, very typical. But I think people are missing out on the beauty of these fish. Also, a olive green that was very metallic and beautiful was very common. Here's Florida flagfish. This is a male in full dress with the red and everything. The females have a much bigger dark spot and another one on their operculum sometimes. Males have like one big one, then a medium, and then a littler one, and kind of it echoes up above too. But mostly the males just have the red on the fins more pronounced. Some females have a little bit, but this fish was truly a rainbow. Every color you could see in a fish reflected off this fish at one point or another. They came out of very, very warm water. It was very shallow and filled with disgusting amounts of, we already saw that picture, of algae and other stuff. Now here's a Gambusia. This is a Holbrook eye rather than an Affinis. And this one is gravid. You can see the gravid spot right there. But this one was purple. This one was a smoky lavender or lilac purple and had green and kind of a aquamarine color, turquoise color maybe, up on the iridophores behind the eye. And all of them in this creek had this look. And it was, I think, due to the tannins. It was black water, but flowing very good. Again, more Sailfin Mollies. Here is the one we started on, the bluefin killie, my absolute favorite fish down there that's native. These things are incredible. I want a tank of about 50 of them. They swim very quick. They dart around a lot. They've got a rainbow reflection on their belly. And what it is I was told, is that it's outside of their stomach lining and swim bladder have a muscle on it that reflects iridescence, not through iridophores, but through a different structure that's a little different. And there's a bunch of research coming out about that on different fish and frogs and other translucent animals about this internal prismatic like shape or structure on the microscopic level that is on the organs and things that a lot of times gives them the appearance of glowing, like in a crystal tetra or something. You'll see that their organs look like silver and reflective. And it's that tissue and cell formation that does it. But these have an incredible blue metallic, like butterfly wings, color, and then red, and then a dark crimson in the tail. Sometimes it goes to yellow, or sometimes the red goes all the way back. And then they've got this black dot with the yellow dot up front. And I just adore those. So here was to compare. This is what that special Gambusia Affinis rather than the Holbrook eye. That's what it looks like compared to usually the melanistic or salt and pepper, or whatever you want to call them, black and white Dalmatian. They usually look like this, where they're all just one platinum tone and a black tone. But when you're really lucky, you get these special tones. And this is a completely wild occurrence. And it's just because I netted about, I'm not kidding, over 10,000 of them on this trip that, I probably pulled about 15 or so out that had some form of that. So yeah. Let's see here. Iridophore or iridocyte? Iridophore. But the tissue coro is something different on the swim bladder. It's almost like carbon nanotubules. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Dr. Anthony wants to put about 500 of those bluefin killies in his 500-gallon tank. I am all for it. Let's get Grant to send them out, because I could have caught that many for us on this trip. I found the spot where my cup runneth over. Now, here we have just a normal little bluegill, and they're absolutely beautiful. Now, his ear hadn't really developed yet, but that little black dot, there was an ever so present hint of red, and with the yellow fin and everything, you could just tell he was going to be a bluegill. But really a beautiful fish. I mean, these, when they're young, I mean, you can see my hand there. So he's probably 2.5 inches, 3 inches across. And the eye is a lavender on top and bottom, and then a red band through it. So they're just really cool looking in the way their lateral line arches with the color on their body and everything. Real cool. Even though they're probably one of the most common fish there. All right, so then we've got a little tiny catfish, and I think this one is a black Mad Tom. I believe it is because of the whisker count, but I don't know for sure. It's got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's got 8 whiskers if you count the top ones. And these don't get that big. This was way out in the middle of nowhere, so I don't think it was any sort of released type. But this was a small little guy, and a nice little fish. This guy was in the cold water too. He was getting the cold water trick done so that I could see his features. Now, this darter is a little different than the other darter. Instead of having red and rusty color in the fins, this one has not just black and white, or black and clear rather. Also a lot more red in the cheek, which was just blood and heartbeat and all that stuff, and less marking down the side. Now, I don't know if it's just maybe this is a female, but I didn't ever for sure identify that one, but probably another swamp darter. Here we've got a little green sunfish, I think, or maybe a rock bass, probably a green sunfish. But without knowing the ear marking developed all the way, it could be a lot of different things. But this is, kind of your quintessential American camoed fish. It almost has some hybridization hints of a bass or something because of the stripes on the face. You see these lines up in the face? That's very much a bass trait, or like a warmouth trait. But I don't know. This one could be a hybrid. I couldn't ever get a for sure from people. Just another picture of that same fish once it got stressed and into the water. Right before I put it back in the water, you can see how faded out, even its eyes. See that? Its eyes went all the way to a pale yellow. Its body went to a pale white, and it lost all the patterning, which was a bummer. But it swam off and it was fine. All right, so here's another molly, but this is not a sailfin molly. This is just a normal molly. And it was deep in fresh water, not in the brackish water. Not much to write home about, but when you spot them, you know them. They have a bunch of little arrows pointing towards their head, going in lines up their body, kind of. This is a Cyclosoma dimeris, and these are really closely related to the Acara. Real hard to tell apart sometimes, but the forking of the spines, or the rays on the fin, as well as the marking of the line down the body with these kind of faux tiger stripes, and the shading on the scales, that kind of helps narrow it down a little bit. But there are a number of Cyclosoma species. There's also this little guy, which looks to me similar to a pike cichlid, but it's got this little black dot on it. So I don't know. It's not a. I don't think it is a pike cichlid, but I don't know what it was. Ended up not getting an agreement on this one either. With the black stripes, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 stripes on it. Plus that little rainwater killie marker that you see on a lot of the fish down there have evolved this little fake eye spot right here on their fin. And I don't know why, but it's very, very common. This is a different fish altogether. This one, you notice, doesn't have the stark lines. I don't know if this is a female to the other one, but its darker spot and white spots are on the front edge of the dorsal fin. And then here's another one of the other ones again. Again, that's on the back edge of the fin. So I don't know. Never came to a conclusion on that. This is a green sunfish baby, and they're just beautiful iridescent little critters. They have kind of a green and yellow body color normally, but those cells light it up like a Christmas tree. Again, sheephead minnow with another little coloration like that, which is interesting. Again, this is the beautiful Florida flagfish, but this one's stressed and clamped its fins on top and bottom. These are more jewel cichlids from a different location. Way less red in these ones as a whole, but a lot more yellow and rusty brown and orange in the eye spots, things like that. Woodpecker, another bent picture of that guy, another alligator photo. These are called rainwater killifish, and they're a lot of fun. They have a dark orange pectoral or anal, or no, are they? I guess they're just paired fins, we'll call them. And then they've got that little black notch with the white on it up on their dorsal. It's the yellow, and then they've got yellow here, and then they got the line down the body. But they've got a really cute body. Male and female look pretty similar. Hard to tell apart. I think the little dot is really the only thing, and the stripes. The males tend to have the stripes. Here is another picture with the sun not shining so directly on that bluefin killie, and so you can kind of get a better idea of the blue and the yellow. I mean, they're very stark colors even when the sun's not on them, when they're in this spawning mode. It's incredible. It is. And then here was that enigma killie. Here was where we were hunting for the fish, or I say we, but I mean me, barefoot, getting eaten alive. And when I got to the bank of the river, they all fled. But then I sat, and after about 15 minutes, they all came back. And you could see the beautiful blues and yellows. Those are mollies. And some of them, like this center one, were pushing 5 inches. Giant brackish water mollies with big old bellies. And they were showing off for the females in this incredible way where they would line up every morning. All the males would line up in this beam of sunlight at this same angle, and the females would be up here and down here hiding and lined up perpendicular to them. And the males would go up and down, shining the light off their body at the perfect angle. And that allowed them to put on quite the show for the females and to light up with color. Then they would pair off with the females and disappear into the shadow. And sometimes one male would have as many as like 10 or 15 females with them. And then he'd come back and enter the little parade again and do it all over again. But watching that was going on in this water right below where I took this picture. Incredible stuff. I live for it. Here's a black crappie More of the bluefin killies. Hard to tell the blue when the background's already blue, but the red and stuff, the yellow is easy to see. Some have a thicker line than others. Some have almost a solid line, and others have more of a zigzag, and it's just a collection point thing. And same with if they have a black outline on the outside of the fin and these little florets of black on the body. All right, guys. So this is basically, yeah, that's it. That's the slideshow. Get out. No. So, all right, Dr. Anthony. Hey, look, it's a wife. I'll see you tomorrow, Dr. Anthony. Well, come see Dr. Anthony's stream tomorrow at 10 a.m. That sounds great. Maybe Luke's going to be there too. He's texting him apparently also. Spencer says, had a 55 gallon bottomless for a year and let the mulm build. I've heard that that's good for bottomless tanks. How long should I let it build before I take some out? Wait, a bottomless, like there's just nothing there, it's just glass. If you have mulm there, let it build forever. Just let it compact and turn into a cruddy, thick layer. And over time, that bacteria will press and press. It will become anoxic, and it'll just get better and better over time. Nature will find a way. Now, with only glass, it is very easy, though, to then wish it around, and all of a sudden you've kicked up food and debris. And yeah. Oh, Luke's on your Saturday California cruise stream. Oh, Dr. Anthony has too many streams. He's got a stream for Saturday and a stream for Wednesday and a stream in the middle of the night. He just has the most constant stream of any man I know. Wait a minute. Scratch that last part. So yeah, but I would say, yeah, I would say don't take it out. Just let it settle, unless it's getting to like this thick of mulm or something in a 55. If you have a glass bottom tank and your ammonia is not crazy or something, I mean, you might have to take it all out if your ammonia goes nuts and your bacteria is not keeping up in your filters or on your hardscape or whatever. If you don't have any of that, if it's all glass, I tend to not be able to keep a just glass tank with many fish in it, because it needs surface area, and just glass is not very much surface area, not much room for error. It's possible, but not much room for error. But guys, I gotta get going. And I want to just say thanks for checking out some of the fish. I actually have way more fish photos than that, but those were the ones that I already uploaded. So those are the ones you got to see, and just figured it would be kind of fun to take a look at. And I've got video of all those too in more depth and more facts about them and stuff like that. Silver Creek Aquatics, Alex, if you could choose any fish, what would you have? What would you choose? Wait, if you could choose any fish, what would you have? If any fish could choose you, what fish would that be? What? I'm so confused. This is a riddle. This is like one of those evil riddles. I want the bluefin killies. They're beautiful. I want them to love me. I want them to be my friends. I want to name them George. All of them. I want to name them George. If you're not friends with me on Facebook, tough cookies. Looks like you're going to have more friends in common, or send me a message and say something that I find and I say, oh, that's interesting. Let's be friends. But these pictures are on Facebook, and they might be in the Facebook group for the channel too. So if you want to look at more, plus like landscapes and just random photos, there's more of that too. And I'll probably be posting some shortly for members. But I want to thank you all for hanging out, for having some fun, for chilling, chillaxing. Next time we'll probably be on Friday, the live stream, and we will be talking about what? What are we going to be talking about? I can't hear you. That's right. It's going to be a surprise, but I think you guys are going to like it. All right, guys, I got to go. My wife is here. It's hot in the house. I'm fading. My jaw's sore. I'm going to make you enough when you can't refuse. And I'm gonna get out of here. We're living on the edge. You can't help yourself from falling. We're living on the edge. You can't help yourself from falling. We're living on the